Hello, this is Miss Ware. Welcome to Thinking Thursday. Today we're going to learn a little bit about germs and how they spread and what you can do to prevent them from spreading. Hey guys, welcome to Thinking Thursday. Special guest, Miss Walker.
Hi.
She's going to read us a story that is going to illustrate the importance of covering your mouth when you sneeze.
Yes. This book is called Blow Your Nose, Big Bad Wolf. Written by Steve Smallman, illustrated by Bruno Mers. Once upon a time, there lived a mommy pig who had 3 little pigs. But little pigs don't stay little for long. It's time for you to build houses on your own, said Mommy Pig. Oh, Mom. What? Achoo! And please use a tissue, added Mommy Pig. You'll make us all sick. Mommy Pig gave the pigs some money and a box of tissues each and sent them on their way. The first little pig met a girl with a wagon full of straw. So he bought the straw, built himself a house, and went inside for a nice nap. The second little pig met a man with a wagon full of sticks. So he bought the sticks, bought herself a house, and went inside to watch TV. The third little pig met a family with a wagon full of bricks. So he bought the sticks, built himself a house, and went inside for a snack. There was a wolf who lived nearby. His name was Big Bad, but he was really nice. Big Bad had a nasty cold with a horrible runny nose. What he needed was a tissue to blow his nose with. He was on his way to buy some when he saw a new straw house. He peeped through the window and saw a little pig with a big box of tissues. Big Bad knocked politely on the door and said, little pig, let me come in." "Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin," squealed the little pig. "Oh, please," sniffled the Big Bad. "All I want is a tissue." Big Bad sneezed a sneeze so big that it blew down the house of straw. "Eek!" squealed the little pig and ran next door. Big Bad followed him to the house of sticks. He knocked politely on the door and said, little pigs, let me come in." "Not by the hair of our chinny chin chins," squealed the 2 little pigs. "Oh, please," sniffled Big Bad. "All I want is a tissue." And he sneezed a gigantic, snotty sneeze. It was so gigantic that it blew down the house of sticks. "Yuck!" squealed the little pigs, and then they ran next door. Big Bad followed them to the house of bricks. He knocked politely on the door and said, little pigs, let me come in." "Not by the hair of our chinny chin chin," squealed the little 3 pigs. "Oh, don't be mean," sniffled Big Bad. "All I want is a tissue," and sneezed the biggest, snottiest, slimiest sneeze he had ever sneezed. But the house of bricks did not blow down. The 3 little pigs were delighted and danced around singing, "We got tissue, you got none. You're so sneezy, you're snotty one." And that's when Big Bad got really mad. "Then I'll come down the chimney and get a tissue myself," he roared. But as he started climbing up the drain pipe, the 3 little pigs put a cauldron of water on the fire. "If Big Bad snot-faced wolf comes down here," they chuckled, "we'll boil his bottom." But Big Bad was so quick that when he came tumbling down the chimney, he landed in the cauldron of nice warm water with a big splash, and the fire went out. "Please don't gobble us up," squealed the 3 little pigs. "I don't want to eat you," sniffled the Big Bad. "I just needed a tissue." And before he could cover his mouth, he sneezed a big wet sneeze all over the 3 little pigs. "Gross!" they all cried. "Achoo! Achoo! Achoo!" sneezed all 3 little pigs. If only they had given Big Bad a tissue, they wouldn't have caught his cold. The pigs passed around the tissues and made sure they passed some to the wolf. Big Bad settled down in his nice warm bath, blew his nose, and started to feel much better. The end.
Hello, scientists. Today there are only 2 vocab words to remember. The first one is germ, which is a really small particle that can get in your body and make you sick. The other is hydrophobic. Hydro, meaning water. Phobic, meaning fear of. Can anyone guess what this word means? That's right, the fear of water. Scientifically, it means that something doesn't mix with water. Like in this experiment, our pepper is hydrophobic and it does not mix with water. All right, scholars, I need you to use your imaginations and think of the pepper as germs. And this is just after that big bad wolf sneezed his great big gigantic sneeze all over the little pigs, and there are germs all over the place. Now, if those 3 little pigs wanted to keep from getting sick, they should have used some soap. And the soap. All right, scholars, so I need you guys to use your imaginations and imagine that the pepper is germs that our big bad wolf sprayed all over the 3 little pigs as he sneezed his big gigantic sneeze. Now, if the 3 little pigs wanted to keep from getting sick, they should have used soap. I have soap on my fingers. And look, the soap repels the germs. Ta-da! Okay, scientists, so today we learned how effective soap is in our fight against germs. So it's very, very important that you wash your hands often. And I put a link down below so you can watch an experiment with how germs spread in a classroom, for instance.
I always thought if we could somehow just see the germs around us, everyone would be a lot more careful and we'd get sick way less. Unfortunately, that's still not possible, so I did the next best thing by running a day-long experiment in this 3rd grade classroom. I found this powder called Glow Germ, and just like real germs, when it's on your hands, you can't see it. But unlike real germs, if you turn a black light on, it becomes visible. But it transfers to things you've touched, so it provides a really good way to visualize exactly how germs spread. So before the kids arrived, as a control, I went around and noted any pre-existing spots in the room that fluoresced under the black light, and then it was go time. The kids, of course, had no idea what we were doing and that the teacher had been secretly infected with the glowing powder. So she randomly shook the hands of 3 kids, but didn't touch any of the rest. And so with that, they just went about their normal day. At break, I did choose 1 random student and he agreed to letting me put some of the powder on his hands too. And then 2 hours later at lunchtime, I checked the results. Remember, everything you see here started with just the teacher and 1 student having a little of that powder on their hands. And because my flashlight can only illuminate 1 spot at a time, I used Photoshop to better visualize our observations of where germs were left behind, including on the other kids.
Uh-oh, we're pretty hot over here. Oh, right here.
And they were actually pretty diligent about washing their hands. This was the desk of the kid that was infected. And what's crazy is that germs could live on a hard surface like this for up to 9 days. And so you can see how important it is to disinfect the things a sick person regularly touches. For example, this was the phone of the teacher in the experiment. Even if you wash your hands really often, if you immediately pull out your phone, a lot of those germs just go right back on your hands. Think about when the last time was that you cleaned your phone. My friend Joanne at the Wall Street Journal recently demonstrated you can clean your phone with an antibacterial wipe every day for at least a year, and it doesn't affect the oleophobic coating at all. And this hopefully gives you a better mental model of why it's really important to wash your hands or use hand sanitizer after being at places like this, or this, or this, or this. Cleaning commonly touched surfaces is important because even if a virus is spread through airborne transmission, those tiny droplets don't stay in the air for long. Then they land on surfaces waiting to be touched by our hands. Which raises an important point. The ultimate defense against catching a virus is just don't touch your face. Your eyes, nose, and mouth are like the single weak spot on the Death Star when it comes to viruses. That's the only way they can get in to infect you. But as you can see here, not touching your face is easier said than done. And before you think, yeah, well that's just kids for you, this was what the teacher's face looked like at the end of the day, and she said she tried extra hard to remember not to touch her face. I found this result fascinating, so I put the powder on my own hands for a few hours, and I resisted the urge to touch my face so many times that I fully expected I was going to have a perfectly clean face and the moral high ground. And then this is what I saw. What the heck? I genuinely have no idea when any of this came on. Until I reviewed the footage. Oh, well, there you go. On average, we touch our face 16 times an hour, which is why washing hands is so important. It's impossible to catch a virus directly through your hands. It's as futile as shooting the outer surface of the Death Star. The problem is we use our hands to help the virus out by constantly giving it a ride to our figurative Death Star exhaust ports. Because of this, I ran another experiment with some of the kids after lunch. First, I had them put some lotion on their hands that also glows under a black light. But then I told them I made a mistake and used the wrong lotion. Can you guys just go wash your hands real quick? And do a good washing, right?
1 second.
Yeah, do the right washing, okay? I just tricked you guys again. Because what I really wanted to do is test how good you are at washing your hands. So guess what I'm gonna do now? Show me your hands. But before I show you how effective they actually were at washing their hands, here's what you should quickly know about viruses. They are super tiny, but also the most abundant biological entity on the planet. In fact, there's over 10 million viruses in any single drop of seawater. And a lot of types of viruses are beneficial to the planet's ecosystem, and only an insanely tiny percentage affect humans at all. And they're really simple. Viruses are basically a shell with some DNA inside, and they just want to spread and duplicate. That's their only goal. But they're so simple that they need a host to do that. So they reproduce by infecting their host cells and then trick them to become factories that just make more exact copies of the virus. When you get sick and then cough or sneeze or wipe your nose and then touch a surface, you're putting copies of this virus out to find other hosts and just repeat the process. And so here's what the kids' hands look like after washing their hands. Uh-oh, look at the backs. Let me see your fingernails. Oh, look at all those germs. Oh, your thumb.
Oh, my hand.
Oh, look at your wrist. Look at your wrist. We all sort of have a habitual way of washing our hands. So once again, I tried this myself using the typical quick way I do it in my muscle memory. Granted, that's better than nothing, but you can see the difference compared to when I was deliberate and took 20 seconds. Which is why it helps to do things like sing the happy birthday song twice, or you could do what I do and follow Brandon Flowers' example.
Jealousy turning saints in eager eyes, 'cause I'm Mr. Brightside.
And then for a final experiment, I wanted to show how dumb handshaking is, so I infected the first kid with the powder and then had them do a handshake chain down the line. The fifth person here still had significant traces on their hand, so I put him at the first and lined 4 more kids up after him, and 3 of their hands glowed. So we got trace germs from the original person all the way down 8 handshakes later. So if you ever meet me in real life, please don't be offended if in lieu of a handshake, I offer you a fist bump and a selfie. In conclusion, what does this all mean with regards to the coronavirus COVID-19? You should be concerned and take this seriously, but regardless of what you see in the coming weeks, there's absolutely no need to panic. As I'm sure you've heard a bunch by now, our goal is to flatten the curve so that the reported cases stay just under the capacity of the healthcare system. And social distancing is the best knob that we can turn to affect that. The reason this helps should hopefully make more sense after watching this video, especially for those who have been doubting the science and feeling like this is an extreme reaction. And my take here is I'm a practical optimist. The upside is while this virus is bad, it could be way worse. And this gives us a chance as a global community to get some systems and methods in place to handle something potentially even more drastic in the future. Also, maybe it will lead to changing some social norms, like replacing handshakes with fist bumps, or when people are really sick, thinking it's okay to mingle about and go to work. Globally, the normal flu kills anywhere from 1/4 to 500,000 people a year, due in large part to people not practicing good germ hygiene. So if this experience makes people more socially aware of the right right precautions to take when they get sick that will save countless lives for years to come, long after this coronavirus is old news. And make no mistake, this is going to be rough for some more than others, but history has shown that us humans are pretty resilient. These types of things can bring out the worst in us, but they can also bring out the best, most wholesome parts of us, like these Italians practicing their social distancing with an impromptu balcony concert. How we feel about the situation is largely dependent on just which part we choose to focus on. For me, that means being grateful to the heroes in our healthcare system, or the school lunch ladies still providing free lunch for kids who depend on them, or the scientists all over the world who are working tirelessly 7 days a week to create better testing methods and a vaccine. This is going to be a bumpy ride for us, but the economy will eventually bounce back, as it always does, and we'll be better off as a global community for having gone through this. Again, take this seriously, but there's absolutely no need to panic. We totally got this.
Bye! See you next week.